Okay.
Intro.
Yeah.
Welcome to
Oh, you fucking clown. Oh God, you're so loud. You're so fucking loud.
Where we discuss things, man. What we've been doing.
What a code. You want to do it? You do it then.
No, I'm not doing it. That was
Didn't we
it.
do this last week as well? Everyone tried to do it and then I got frustrated.
Yeah. I just did it. It was great.
Right. 3, 2, 1, in. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Vice Press Open Channel. We get together to talk about things. I've forgotten what I say. That is the mighty Matt Ferguson with a big grin on his face. And that's James over there with a big porridge on his face.
Oh.
And we're back, and it's more apes. I hope you like monkeys, because that's all we've got for you. We've all seen what is it? It's Kingdom
of the
right?
Planet of the Apes. Yeah, Kingdom.
Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Yeah, we just want to rip straight into that?
Yeah, we all saw a film. We all saw him.
Yeah,
we all went together on a little mandate.
We did. We did.
Wow.
And our favourite chicken place is closed.
Oh my goodness.
We didn't get chicken.
We didn't get chicken. We didn't get chicken.
Is this is not the same chicken place that closed when I was there? This is a different chicken place?
No, it's the same chicken place that was closed
They
when
just
you were
don't
there.
ever seem to be open, which is why they've gone out of business, clearly, because they're never open. So
Yeah.
Right.
It's
Well,
like stuff in Sheffield doesn't seem to be open on a Monday.
they do the whole Sunday thing, don't they? It's old-fashioned, like Cole Brothers used to do it, where they would shut Monday because they were open on Saturday. So they would shut Sunday, Monday, but then they changed it so that they were open Sunday, but they stayed shut Monday.
Yeah,
They still wanted their weekend.
Traditionally, Monday, Tuesday is pretty, like, there's a lot of stuff closed restaurant-wise. Chicken place, so you'd be right to stay open, I would have thought. But,
It's strange, isn't it? Because, like, you've got worker people. Mind you saying that, like, I used to work in Sheffield City Centre, and it'd be rammed. Anywhere at lunchtime, you'd go and it'd be rammed. You go there now, because I guess more people work from home, more people are money conscious, so they take packed lunches or whatever. Anyway, Planet of the Apes. Hey!
It's the fucking Walking Dead in that town, mate. There's no one going to buy
they knocked
chicken.
it all down, that's why. They just ripped it all down and there's nothing there anymore.
No. It's sad, isn't it? Sad.
Grim.
What a shame, mate. But we get in the world's largest food hall, so there's that. For all of those people that are there this year. It opens September.
It's meant to be any minute, basically.
Oh, sweet. I'll go visit.
Yeah.
And I'm back over and just feed myself some garbage.
What did you say?
The fourth member of the podcast.
You've won a free packet of biscuits. What on? What? McVitie's? What type of biscuits?
What kind of biscuits?
Any McVitie's biscuits.
Chocolate hobnobs.
Hold the press.
Chocolate hobnobs have got the most calories in, so they're what I would go for.
There you go.
They're
getting
great.
More calories for your buck.
They're premium tea biscuits.
Have you ever had a hobnob, Florey?
I have no idea what you're talking about. I know McVitie's because of like digestives, right?
Yeah.
They do that.
It's a bit like I guess, of an Anzac biscuit. Is that what you would have there?
Yeah. Okay.
It's like slightly chewy, but not oaty. Sugary.
Yeah.
They're like flakes rather than... It's like minced up sugary straw, but nice.
It's oats. It's oats with like honey-ish or golden syrup in it, basically, isn't it?
So you know an Anzac biscuit? I
know an Anzac biscuit, yeah.
I wouldn't have thought that would have come outside of Australia, New Zealand.
I think it was a unique thing to maybe my family, because my mum used to make them. I don't know why.
Interesting. Planet of the Apes.
What? She really wants to talk about Planet of the Apes. I want to talk about biscuits.
Do you think the apes have Anzac biscuits?
I'm pretty sure they're just smoking fish by the looks of things.
I love
a lot
that
of
they
fish in that diet.
fish. I love that.
How good.
Because the eagles get them the fish.
Right, so we have all been to the theatre to see Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, the fourth in this, like, what is it, a reboot? It's a reboot at this point.
Semi-reboot, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, we remember that these movies exist, but they don't really, it's not in the same universe. And I think pound for pound, we're 4 for 4 on this thing, right? Like, these are good movies. This is a hell of it. That no one seems to care about until a new one comes out. Like, they just...
They're like sleeper
Am I
hits, aren't
crazy?
they?
Or-
They kind
yeah.
of just
Yeah.
seem to like they're just
It's-
understated and just happen and are good and
Yeah.
do
Well,
well.
this
at the
one's
same
this
doing
time.
well though.
one's-
So
I think this one's got a little bit of magic sauce that, like, more so than the first one, Rise. It's more like the Matt Reeves ones, but even weirdly better in some ways because the world is just so. It's kind of, I guess it's analogous to like Avatar, in that it's like this fully fleshed out different place that you kind of like go, oh, that's a cool place.
So
And it
I think
spends time in that place.
for the audience, we're going to start out like with mild, like we're just going to discuss the film overall, and then we'll do spoiler stuff if we feel like it. But yeah, I think this one for sure is because there is a time jump. So we're a couple of 100 years away from the last ones. Caesar and his crew are gone, and I think that leads to it's a pretty long movie. It's like 2.5 hours, but it doesn't feel that long because it feels like two films. It's like one of the films is we're introducing this whole world again. Where have we moved on to? Like, where are we geographically? Sort of, who are the apes we're dealing with now? Because we've got this new crew of cool cats, you know, three new young monkeys that are just like doing their thing. Completely, like that was what blew me away. It was like as soon as we come into it, like literally 2 minutes in, these are brand new characters. They've barely said anything, and I'm like, I will die for these monkeys. I love these monkeys. They're just climbing this thing. Oh my goodness!
Anaya is like, just—it's like the eyes. It's just oh my god, it's also incredible.
It's really, and it blows me away each time. It's like every 3 years, I'm like, how the fuck are they doing this? Even though I just watched them do it like previously. You look at these guys, whatever they're doing with the facial capture, the sort of changes since the last time too were really apparent. Like the way that these guys speak. They're
much more human, aren't they? Yeah,
they're getting there, and I don't know if you noticed in that they don't really make a thing of it, but there's the little tiny kids as well that are the next generation after these guys, and they're just running around talking like children. And I was like, oh, it took me back for a sec, but then when you go up and he visits his like mum and dad, they seem less vocal and able to like put sentences together than these guys. So it's like he's just showing you how fast it's moving.
And then like there's the different areas of evolution. Like Raka is much more got great vocabulary because he's more learned.
He's been talking to people,
and he's just my favorite. And then the baddie Proximus is kind of like he likes to use big words, thinking that he's clever, and it's like because Trevathan or whatever he was called has been teaching him about like Roman history. It's really good.
I was like, oh, of course, especially with what's going on on the internet at the moment. Of course, the maniacal like bad guy that doesn't think he's bad is into Roman history. That's like absolutely perfect. Every peanut with a podcast on the internet except for us.
It's a marvelous movie, absolutely. Just, I mean, the setups and the payoffs as well. So it sets things up like with the eagles. That if you know anything about watching films and a good story, you think this is going to pay off. And even when it's coming, you see it coming with the eagle, but it is just so good. I was like, it actually made me have a little tear when the son finally is like, okay, I'll be mates with you because the son, that's the name of the eagle, is a jerk because that's what's he called? Noah. Noah's dad's eagle is son, and the eagle is just a jerk to Noah throughout the whole movie. But then he's like, all right, let's do this, and it's like,
but to have that, like this character of this bird that obviously the birds can't vocalize, but what this bird's thinking. He's following this kid saying like, are you going to live up to, are you going to sort this out? Like, are you going to live up to, because it's like this bird knows that this kid has the stuff, but he's just like testing him and he wants him to succeed. It's like, fuck, it's a bird. Like how are they doing this?
It's one of the better examples of the hero's journey, that classic thing that George Lucas loved since Star Wars. When he goes through the tunnel at the beginning, because they've been scared and they've been said, you can't go through there. But then he's got to, because obviously that's where they went and he's trying to get his family back. And he goes through and he gets faster. And then when he shoots out the other side and he's like...
It's a literal rite of passage, isn't it?
It's like very good. Very good.
I think what shocked me the most about it is like it feels like it's like an extremely modern production, right? You couldn't have done this at any other time than now. But but the storytelling and like the characters and stuff feel like it was made ages. Like it feels like a throwback. They don't put this effort into character and world building anymore. You know, it's really
we were saying a few episodes ago around how they don't make films like they used to anymore. And this is just, for me watching this. So I loved it. I think I preferred it over the other three. I enjoyed the other three. I really liked the other three, but there was something about this that just it had a magic to it that I enjoyed, and it kind of stood on its own feet. It wasn't kind of beholden to kind of setting up this scenario, which there's absolutely nothing wrong with all of that. You know, we didn't. There wasn't as much of a conscious effort to, we've got to have human characters in here to capture the. It solely relied on the apes, and it solely relied on them. Yes, there are a couple of human characters. Yes, they are kind of integral, but it wasn't. There was what, two.
What I liked, this is spoiler zone. What I liked about the human character is most people would, and me to a certain extent as well, would expect humans the goodie. And in the other ones, there's bad humans, but there's also out and out good humans, like that are nice, right? But turns out she's just a stone cold killer, and it's like, whoa, okay.
Well, she's got her own mission and her own agenda, isn't she? And she's caught in that. She's caught in.
Trevathan's right, isn't he, when he says, you know, it's their world now. We need to just learn to live together. But she didn't want to do that.
Yeah, it's interesting because I find you can look at it that way, but there is also that kind of, you know, she's not. You notice at the end that she's not allowed into this. Like,
no, because she's infected now, so they're like, you're not coming back.
Well, I mean. Because they're all, isn't the thing that they're all, there was a certain amount of the population in the first, or I think that are just immune to it or whatever. So there will always be people that don't get infected.
Well, in that
I just
vault,
assume,
obviously they don't know that they're immune or not, and we don't know whether she's immune.
Yeah,
because they might not be passing the virus around anymore because it's 300 years in the future. But she must have been in the vault because she knows how to read and write and yeah, exactly. So her and a group of people agreed to leave to go do this mission, knowing
and you can never come back. Yeah,
be allowed to come back. So it's like for the greater good sort of thing. But it's like
I think there was something in her.
The apes when it suits her, doesn't she? You know.
Well, that's it. Yeah, she does. But then that whole thing with like, it was amazing that last scene with her. With it's like she's going back there and she's like, I just came to say goodbye. And you're like, oh, okay, this is interesting. And then obviously we see like the hand behind the back, and you're kind of like, oh fuck, well, like what the fuck? But she's just checking in because she thinks if she can leave them alone, she will leave them alone because they're not. She's realized that they're not. These ones aren't the enemy. Like, can she leave them there? I think that's super interesting. And sets up a lot for later as well.
They're nice. It's like when she kills William H. Macy. Spoiler.
I think we're just in that now.
The three kids are so shocked. They're just like, because it's just like not what, because their law is don't kill basically. So, and that's why they're really shocked. Why he's really shocked when his friend is killed by the other apes at the beginning. Cause that whole sequence when they come riding in is absolutely bonkers.
Yeah, you know, they're crazy.
With the masks
even in the in this kingdom of like, because you see this guy and we've seen these sort of, I don't know what you call them, but like the wrecking crew that they've sent out that have the masks, and it's a gorilla guy, and we're like, oh shit, they're violent. But when you get back to like this kingdom of this mad general or whatever, this mad king, it's not. I was like, oh, this is like super thought through and interesting. Like, he's not overly violent. Like he's like, take their cuffs off and just let them, this is where you live now. Everyone has their own place. And then you see they're stretched out along the coast. And it's like, well, the ones down the end must just be chilling on their own. Like, there's no guards on them or anything. Even they're setting up this kind of planet they have at the end, and they're running around at night. And there's no one really, there's no sentries.
Checking in on them.
No.
Yeah, they're kind of, it's like, as long as you kind of live here, help me with this door, And yeah, a few of you are going to get taken out as like collateral, and that's not the best.
They don't realise how bad he is because, like he says at that one point, doesn't he? I don't care how many apes I have to get through to get in my vault.
Oh,
and
when he's like,
they're just buying into it. But that's like the charismatic bastards in history, isn't it? People buy into these.
Well,
arseholes,
it's going back to the Roman, the kind of Roman emperor side of things, isn't it? It's like the Roman emperors used to kind of go and pillage and acquire all of these folks from countries that they went to and all of that lot, through raping and pillaging. But then actually once they were once they were a centurion, once they were helping out the Roman Empire, they were treated very well and they were looked after, but they were always going to be collateral.
You just had to toe the line, though. And become that society. So for example, eagles, not allowed eagles anymore. That's a very important part of the movie because they love their eagles.
Yeah.
But because you do that eagle shit, you're not allowed that under Proximus because he doesn't do the eagle shit.
No, it's taking away your identity so that you become part of a whole.
He marks them with the red.
Yeah.
And that's like the important bit when she takes it off. She's like, yeah.
But what I really liked about it is none of it's hammered home. None of it's like, it's not that kind of, again, going back to that modern storytelling side of things, it's kind of everything has to be told like, in any other hands, someone would have gone, he's running his kingdom like the Roman emperors of old used to do, and this is what he's doing. There's none of that exposition that's needed. No. And it works so well because you're kind of not taken out of it, you're not sucked, you kind of along
it doesn't
this
explain
ride.
It does a lot of showing, lot of showing instead of telling, which a lot of films and TV programs don't do nowadays, and that was very satisfying for me as a film lover.
For a $150 CGI fest, the restraint shown is like, it's just incredible. This director, obviously, I've never said a bad word about him. Trusted him from the get-go, new Wonderkin. Don't rewind to a few episodes ago when I was terrified because he's doing The Legend of Zelda. And
it just makes you optimistic about Zelda straight away. That's one of the things I thought was like, he could make a great Zelda film.
It's all in this. It's already in. So much of it is already in this. There's that.
Well, it's Mouse Guard as well because he was going to do Mouse Guard, which is this as well, but with mice.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that someone hasn't just already picked up the phone and go, "Hey, remember that Mouse Guard? Do you think what you're doing? Do you want to just do that right now?" Like, and the Zelda thing. Now I'm just terrified that Nintendo's going to fuck the Zelda thing because they don't know how to make movies.
It's such a weird thing, especially nowadays, that you get a director that's one, been allowed to completely execute their own vision, two, that vision has turned out to be very successful, and three, it's resonating and people are actually paying to go and watch it.
I think there's a sort of protective bubble that somebody's put around 20th century studios because
something's definitely going on there.
And this new Alien movie looks very, very promising. So they're slightly smaller budgets for Disney tentpole movies, and they're saying, "Off you go." I think that's the impression I get because I mean
there's not many. There's not many 20th century films.
They're like a building over, and no one's really been over there for a while. So they've just been able to get a few things going, and I think they said that too when they're not going to go. Disney's like, oh no, we're not going to go too hard on the 20th century stuff. You're not going to see heaps of it, and that's fine by me if they're all at this quality. Let's just do it.
It makes me think the Alien movie could be great as well.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
If we live in a world where there's
She's
a
got
new Predator...
Reebok kicks on, have you seen the new picture?
See, that shit annoys me, right?
No, it looks good. They're different. It's very in-universe. It's not like... It just looks right, because they're the kind of shoes that they have in the future.
But she's got a flamethrower too. I'm like... I mean...
But flamethrowers are what they use on Aliens.
Yeah, I know. I get it, but it feels like... Some of that stuff feels like we're in a movie, It was actually a problem that I had while I was watching The Apes. I'm like... Get fucked, this chick looks like this, and she's wearing the clothes and
she's got eyeliner on, and it's a bit like.
But it eventually makes perfect sense, and I was like, motherfucker. When she
came
spoke,
out of her place.
When she spoke, and then we find out more and more, I was like, you cheeky bastards, because I've been sitting here like, yeah, no, this isn't right. This shouldn't be this way. You've ruined it. And then they got me. Like, there's nothing in that whole film.
Can I just say, on the second time, obviously the music is amazing, But there's that scene where it does the original apes with them rounding up the humans. But it's not just the music, the way he shoots it and the lighting and everything, especially in that one scene. And when they're on the beach as well with the scarecrows, it looks like an old film. It's got really good cinematography, I think.
I actually thought
Really
of you
good.
while I was watching the movie, and it was at the part where, because if anyone wants a 3-hour podcast of an old man getting grumpy about filmmaking, just talk about lighting, right? So Matthew Ferguson.
Don't know how to do
he'll
it
just
anymore.
go, even if you've heard it all, it'll still go. It doesn't matter if you know everything he's going to say. So there's a bit in this where he has to go out and get another egg, and it's at night, and he's on his horsey, and he's just like clomping through this sort of area on the way to get an egg. And I was like, why is this the best lit night scene that I've seen in like fucking ages? And then obviously more light comes into it with the zappy sticks and the fire and all this sort of shit. I'm like, damn, this looks good.
Very well. The nighttime scenes are brilliant because they're just like, we got the big moon and it's lighting the world more so than you would think in reality. But you've got to remember there's no electricity, so
there's no
things
lights.
like that light up more. But they definitely lit it. They separate the characters from the backgrounds. They use fill lights and beauty lights and everything old school, which probably makes the job harder for the CG people because CG stuff is easier when it's obviously evenly globally lit. They call it global illumination, and that's kind of like what you get in the volume, which people talk about a lot. And just in general, in a lot of blue screen or green screen stuff, they do quite flat lighting because it's easier to key and do the effects. But this is lit properly, and there's a lot of practical. I would say there's only a couple of scenes, obviously, like when they're running around in the city at the beginning, that's all CG. But it's mostly sets with extension, like real sets, which is crazy. Like the scene when they're in the bunker and they're looking at the book with the it looks amazing, but that's a real set. They just filmed it in there and then did the CG after, and it just looks absolutely pristine.
Yeah, I was. It's one of those. You've been watching it for 2 hours at that point when they get into this bunker, and I'm like, how does it? It keeps impressing me as we're going. Like I should be used to this by now, but it keeps doing things where you're just like, how are they doing it? It just takes you out for a sec, and you're like, how are they lit this way? How do they look this good? We're in like on their faces, and they're looking at this children's book. And I'm like the emotion of it all. It's like just
not
incredible
like
stuff.
When he wakes up after the attack and there's the ash going on him and everything, and then he finds his dad. You think back when you think back about that, you just think about how upset he is because his dad is dead, and you don't think about the effect. But that's all CG. It's nuts.
Yeah.
Like Kate said, that's the best compliment I think you could give it is that when she has been thinking back about it, she's just thinking about the characters and the story. It's brilliant.
You forget very quickly how much CGI there is because they just do whatever they do or however they've done it is that you kind of tricked into believing it's real straight away. It's like this is very good.
It's kind of smart as well, opening on the most CG heavy bit, like with the city and them, because I read a review that said it was quite computer gamey and it took them out of it. But then it just means that when they go back and they're in the forest all of a sudden, you just go, it like calms down into it, and it's just. I could watch the opening. Carry on for hours, the whole thing with them getting the fish and the kids in the village and the stuff with the elders and the cool face paint and everything. I think
so. You're right, and I think the reason why it works is going back to what you were saying a minute about the volume. Like we're used to a lot of CGI stuff being in the volume where it's all evenly lit and all of this kind of stuff. What I think this film does incredibly well is there's lots of real world elements that give your brain a frame of reference.
Yeah.
So you've got real bushes rustling, you've got real soil being compressed, you've got stuff that you've got the lighting. The lighting is incredible in terms of that because you're given shadows and dimensions through all of that kind of stuff. So that whole uncanny valley you get when your brain is sucked into a Mandalorian or whatever, which I'm not knocking that because I do like that, but you get sucked into it because you're like, that's fake. Like The Hobbit. The Hobbit is a really good example because everything is flat, everything is super high resolution. Your brain can't do it. But in this,
they mucky the frame, right, which is what really good directors do, right? So they put stuff in front, or so, for example, in that scene after the aftermath of the attack, there's like bits of burnt wood out of focus in front of the frame, and there's elements coming in front, and it's like mucking up the frame and making it not perfect, like it's actually being filmed.
Yeah.
I like it when they go even further in movies, when they put stuff on the camera lens, like water splats and stuff. Like Pacific Rim does it when they have the fight.
Yeah,
like stuff hits the camera and it just makes it feel. And it's so there's that's why the opening feels a little bit video gamey, because there's impossible. How could you get a camera there?
Yeah.
And I think that's probably what people are keying off of, more so than the visuals. It's the fact that the camera is somewhere impossible. But the rest of the movie, it's very grounded. Like,
that's a really good point. I'd not thought about that. I think the best scene, and again, kind of just picking up on this point a little bit more, but the best scene in that film, or my favourite scene in that film, was the bridge river crossing scene. When you've got the monkeys in the water and stuff and all of that, that is just fucking amazing.
And you're like, Raka! We should talk about Raka a little bit, because he's the best. Yeah.
Best character. I hope he's not dead.
The wise orangutan. His dad boys come back. If it was me, I would give this chap, if he can do it, I'd give him his 3 movies, right? Because we're obviously setting up a lot of stuff here.
Yeah.
We get Raka's not in the next one. No mention of him. Don't even think about it. 3rd one, back. Because we're like down, we find the River Tribe or some shit, and he's just been chilling. They saved him. Can you imagine?
Teaching the words of Caesar and all that.
Yeah,
because that's got to come back. Because in the future, obviously, in the original movies, Caesar's like their deity or whatever. So
it's very clever how they're kind of building and settling all of this
work
stuff.
Continues, and he's like just having a great time. He's just like whoa, and he's just really interested and excited by everything new and different in front of him. It's just awesome.
The way
we find,
hey,
the humor in it is incredible from him. He's just such a light spot.
The way that we find him too, I think they do so much in such a short time, because he's only like, he's sort of, we meet him looking up at him and you're like, those orangutans, they're big, like they can get going, you know, and he's got the sort of stick to Noah's neck or whatever, and he's kind of like trying to intimidate. He's like, you were with them or whatever. And then we immediately flip to like, or when he's like, oh, that was my whole world or whatever over there. And it's just
that was my
bones.
Village,
yeah, a pile of bones on fire, like his one.
Or he says he was my village because there was just 2 of them. Yeah,
yeah, and it's like, and you're like, okay, so we're terrified of him. Then we immediately feel like incredibly like sorry for him, and then a minute later, we're like, he's like the most jovial chap.
It's just so nice. He's like, look at these things called books.
Yeah,
it's just unbelievable. He's a fucking CGI orangutan voiced by Borders from the Orville. Like, how are they doing this?
Yeah.
And he's just calmly explaining to her how humans are useless because they can't use their feet to pick things up.
Yeah.
And he's like, 4 times. It's just amazing.
Imagine what you could do. Death. And then when you figure out later that she actually can understand what he's saying.
Yeah,
like,
that makes it even
back
better.
And you're like...
He's being nice to her because he's like, horse. When he does all that stuff, it's just amazing. And there's the campfire scene when they're talking about how bad she smells, and it's just awesome.
Very unpalatable.
I want to talk a little bit about before this film came out. There was a lot of guessing around where Nova was going to come from. Was she going to be an astronaut? Was she going to be the daughter of astronauts and things? And I think a lot of people were building themselves up to that being the big reveal, when it turns out that obviously wasn't the case. But I think for me, what eventually happened with the reveal of the bunkers at the end, and you've got all these people that are kind of living and working with the technology and all of that stuff, that was much more of a compelling reveal than had she have been an astronaut or something, because it's setting up a wider world. And now you're kind of like, oh, okay, well, where is this going to go? What is going to happen? And
it's not going to just go into Taylor and the astronauts and all that, because that's thousands of years, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's exactly right. And I think we should never do that. If it was up to me, we would never do that, because there is no point now to doing that, because the whole point of that film is it's a mysterious planet and a world that we don't know, right? And then they reveal at the end. That's the whole reason for that
the
movie.
director has said that. I was watching an interview and he said, I wouldn't want to do that. I wouldn't want to go into that, because that's just in the future. That's its own thing. And
we've gone the other way. We've entered at the start instead of entering at the end.
You can see how this leads to that society.
Oh, sure.
Eventually.
But there's thousands of years of as if these humans that all find each other are going to get along. This is how this whole fucking thing happened anyway. It's not going to be.
Oh, there'll be some general somewhere still in a vault who's a nutball general that wants to take over. And
if you've got a great sexy bunker full of uninfected people that are all perfect looking, why on earth would you reach out to anyone else? You're only going to cock this up. There's no one seen The Walking Dead or The Last of Us or any other post-apocalyptic thing. This is all going to go horribly wrong. And I think the next one, obviously they can't call it War for Planet of the Apes, but one of the next ones will eventually be the apes off to the side going, what are these fucking idiots doing? Look at them. They've finally
just destroying each other.
They can finally talk, and they've found another bunker full of tanks, and they're all fighting each other now. They should be,
Yeah.
I like that it ended with the two, the way it ended, the two shots with them looking into the sky, because obviously she's like, we're gonna be coming back, and we've linked up. I've done my job, but they have looked into the telescope, and they're having their the apes are having their minds expanded even more, and it's been shown how clever Noah is, cleverer than an average ape, So, and you said about the kids seeming even smarter already. So the apes are just going to just explode, especially if they learn how to read. It'd be
I think we're getting. I think in the next one, where there's clothes that we're getting to that point. There
was little elements of clothing already, of sneaking in. So.
And even with this guy's just I'm just gonna be cool and have a fucking half blue face because that's how I do myself. And this guy's I've got my feather thing, and then his mum's just got a shawl.
How
or whatever.
Is that? How cool is that when Noah's sneakily watching and he punches down and then he's like, "Oh, I heard you got to the top nest.
Heard you did the big climb.
Fist bump."
Yeah,
fucking best.
And Noah's shitting his pants. It's awesome.
And then you're this guy. This guy's gonna be their team's heavy or whatever for this film, and then he does not survive a single fucking second. He just has two incredible exchanges with Noah, and it's the fist bump thing, and then it's there's more. And then he fucking dies. Him saying there's more of them, I was like, shit. And then when that fucking gorilla is for Caesar! And I'm like, no, you didn't say that. You're the bad guys. You can't be...
Well, the Eagle clan don't even know who Caesar is. They never heard of him. Who's that? What are you talking about?
It's amazing.
Going back to the Roman thing, it's kind of starting to bring that whole war of religion in, isn't it? How
twisting the words of Jesus Christ, isn't it, into something that they would like and want.
Yeah,
and it's the same thing.
That's
what it's about.
So I'm really looking forward to what they do next now. And again, you've got that little bit where there's been a lot of discussion online around what do they see when they look into the telescope and stuff, and is it a spaceship or is it this? No, I just think it's the sun, it's the moon. It's just they're what the fuck is that thing in the sky?
This is incredible.
Yeah,
it just expands their minds.
Yeah,
you know what I love is that we don't need to see what they see because we know that
it's not what it's about, is it?
It's the reaction on each of their faces and the way that he reads her face, and it's no, she's seeing things. She's reacting the way we do. The same way that even in the first one where they kind of sort of being hang on a second, old mate, this ape over here, he seems a bit clever. He's listening to what we're saying and stuff like that. But I think there's parts like that. Just the mirroring of everything is just amazing.
There's loads of cheap tricks that they could have put into this as well that they didn't, and I appreciate that. When they're on the beach, there could have been bits and bobs that they're thrown around, and whether it's monuments or whatever, like kind of a nod back to the original. Obviously, they don't think they'd have a Statue of Liberty or whatever, but I think it was very clever because it was adamant to stand on its own 2 feet rather than try and replicate and utilize what had come before. And I think that was a very brave decision. Because I was thinking about this when we was watching trailers and things the other day, is that now, and I think this is one of the reasons why people don't go to the cinema as much, and this is where we've been avenged, is that, and James Bond's guilty of this as well, is that unless a film calls back to the original or features elements or features characters or kind of like, oh, isn't this clever? And I think that's why Top Gun Maverick did so well, because Top Gun Maverick is kind of calling back to a lot of those things and bringing in those characters and those elements and stuff like that. There's films that are kind of their own thing and aren't relying on those kind of bits and bobs. They don't seem to do as well, but this one was brave enough to go out and do it. Do you get what I mean? Am I explaining that?
Yeah, no, I get what you mean. What it does, the fan service stuff, because there was bits where I smiled because I was like, oh, that's from one of the old movies. Well, it was never crowbarred in.
No,
it was just
they're almost
sort of
invisible.
like,
if you don't know, then
like the scarecrows, it's like, well, it makes sense that they'd have scarecrows to scare things off. Or the use of the music. It's just really good music that works for a scene when they're rounding up humans, it's just awesome.
Yeah. And there was like little bits of
there's the baby that cries, obviously. That's the exact same sound effect from the original movie, and that made me smile. But what's important about that is their reaction, because they're like, it's weird.
Yeah.
Just put it back there.
Why would they have a toy that talks when they can't talk? That whole thing, but it's the monkeys doing it. Yeah, it's so good.
Well, it could almost be, and it's like, again, because it doesn't explicitly say it, but it could. Like when you go back to the original Planet of the Apes and they find right at the very end to go to that vault or whatever, it could be that vault, because they go through the area where you've got the scarecrows.
It's in the cliffs, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. So there's kind of, could it be that? Is it that? It's like lots of cheeky little nods. Some of the shots of where they're on the horse and going down the beach and stuff. It's
well,
it
doesn't feel crowbarred in, and if you hadn't seen the original, you wouldn't be like, "What's this weird bit? Why are they doing that?"
Yeah,
for no reason, So it's smart. Basically, it's not dumb.
No. Yeah. No. So what we're saying?
10 stars. Yeah, 100%.
10 stars.
Just a really well made film.
I'm going to give it 11 stars.
Whoa. You've been right on it. Like, you've been to see it twice, so I mean,
yeah,
you must be into it.
Really good.
Yeah,
this one goes to 11.
When he starts singing the song that he's not wanted to sing, and Caesar's just like, "What are you doing?"
I sat there for 2.5 hours, and if they had been like, "Guess what? We actually made another one, and we're chucking it on now," I would have sat there for 2.5 hours more. Easily, straight away. It was really, really good and really, really surprising. And I think something's happening this year, man. I don't know. We were all sort of doom and gloom because it had all the strikes. We're like, oh, there's not going to be many films out this year. But the stuff that's coming out, we've had some good stuff, and it looks like we've got some more stuff to look forward to even in the coming weeks. Like Mad Max is getting good reviews, and Deadpool's ramping up its thing. I hope that just doesn't annoy me too much before I actually see it, because they're going so hard on it. But yeah, cinema's back.
It's back. I think I'm going to completely ignore all new Deadpool marketing and trailers and things, because I'm going to watch it, and the only thing it can do now is put me off it.
Exactly,
if that makes sense.
Yep. There's like a Heineken ad. There's like all, because what they do well is like Ryan Reynolds is a marketing machine, right? He loves it. He loves to get involved, and he supports the things that he's in so that they get more bums in seats, which leads to him getting more films.
Yeah.
But he doesn't need to do that this time because we're all in it already. And we know that Hugh's in it, and we know they're going to have lots of silly little ads. I think I saw there's already 3 of them out today. There's a Heineken ad. There's a bit where they're not in costume. And then there's another one where they are in costume. And I'm like, it's in July, guys. Chill the fuck out. I know they've just released tickets or whatever, but that doesn't pertain to me, so I don't.
Have you seen the disclaimer that he put out?
Which? No.
Ryan Reynolds about this. Right. I'll read it to you. It's good. We're very excited to be joining you on the 26th of July. Many of you are very excited, but we should set the table correctly. This film is a paper thin as a sequel to Battlefield Earth. We're mostly going to beat each other senseless, make enemies with Disney, tell a few dick jokes, make a few jokes at my expense, make a lot of jokes at Hughes' expense, and completely sidestep Marvel's mandated after-credit sequence, which, if you haven't figured it out yet, is always just a commercial for another movie, which will invariably end with a commercial for another movie. Sit back, relax, and let us lower your IQ and raise your heart rate while we travel to a vapid dreamland, a place where grown men and grown women walk around in tights and act like it's not a giant cultural cry for help. This is cinema.
Yeah, I did watch that one. That was one of the ones I saw today. It's obviously better said by Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool.
Yeah.
But it's... hello, I'm Ryan Reynolds. But no, I think he's just got the twinkle, you know. He gets it, and whoever is writing this stuff,
taking the piss, isn't it? You know,
yeah, and he can do that because he does have that. He's a smart ass. Generally, it's why he's perfect for this character. I think James has said the exact right thing. If this carries on at this pace for 2 months, I'm going to get a little bit annoyed.
Yeah.
I didn't think you could annoy me with the Deadpool Wolverine film, but, you know, here we are.
Speaking of Wolverine,
Oh,
X-Men 97 finished.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I've been more excited about apes, and I've gone all apes. So I think the best episode was the Genosa one when that all kicked off. And although this was good and it did do some good things, I don't think it was as good as that midpoint where Gambit sacrificed himself. Didn't feel as...
You know what I think? Get fucked. How about that?
It was amazing. It was really good and everything, but it just didn't grab me like that episode did.
I don't necessarily think that you're wrong, but I don't agree with you. I would say it still was. I think it was really, really high for me.
Still 10 out of 5. It was.
Yeah.
I like the mind stuff best with him in Magnet's mind.
Magnets McGee.
Magnets McGee. Hi, I'm Magnets McGee.
Magnet's mind. That was good.
It was good.
I just don't think it put much of a foot wrong, like all the way through. I can't
it's funny
think.
Because Bastion is just doing the thing that the villains always do in Marvel movies. You know, just like getting more and more power and being like, all right. There was like it was nearly an energy beam from the sky sort of thing.
Mm.
But because he was an interesting character and well-rounded and well-written, it worked. You know, it was good.
All the way through, everyone was written as a character. So that when these ridiculous things happen, it's still an incredible achievement in like bang for your buck sort of character writing and characterization. I think because there's not a lot of dialogue. It's a very fast-moving show. There's not a lot of dialogue, but they do so much with. We've got this whole love triangle, right? In the first sort of 3 or 4 episodes with Rogue, Gambit, and Magneto. But there's barely anything said. There's like a few scenes, but the impact that it sort of has on the overall story is quite sort of profound, kind of, almost, you know, with the way that it sets everything off. I just think it was like that all the way through. Like people say there's not enough Wolverine, and it's like, no, there's literally the amount of Wolverine is perfect if you like the fucking X-Men, not just Wolverine. Plus Disney Plus,
not Deadpool, Daredevil,
Iron Man in the designs from the old cartoons. Like... Fuck me, cool. Shit was just cool, and it's like it's a little bit
next they can do Spider-Man 2000 or whatever. Radioactive Spider-Man and have the same music and everything.
Oh, can you imagine them redoing that theme song as well?
Yeah.
Even the Iron Man, those theme songs were fucking bangers. Like obviously X-Men's the best one, but I am Iron Man. Like that shit was so fucking cool.
Yeah, that's how they can get Tony Stark back, isn't it?
I didn't know. Yeah, because I didn't know a lot about Bastion. I know who Nimrod was and things like that, but I didn't really I didn't know who Bastion was, and I kind of honestly thought what they were doing with kind of the whole Magnet and Wheelchair Boy and Xavier kind of in the mind. I thought they were kind of setting up an Onslaught thing. That's what I kind of thought they was heading towards. I'm kind of glad they didn't. And it's nice.
So at the end, they're split off, aren't they? Right, and so some of them are way in the past with Apocalypse in Egypt or whatever, and then some are in the future with young Nathan. Is that right?
Yeah, Yeah.
with Apocalypse.
I was kind of like, to be honest, I'd kind of like, I hadn't stopped watching, but I just was.
They're kind of setting up the whole, because then I don't know if you kind of read much of or know aware much of the Apocalypse thing. When Gambit dies in the comics, am I right that Apocalypse brings back Gambit as one of his heralds, kind of thing?
Death, yeah. Because he's had.
But then he'll be like, I can
crews.
remember. He'll remember who he is and go good again, so it'll be fine.
So it is interesting how they pull, and they do it quite quickly. And I think I kind of like that because it held my concentration. And I waited and I watched these three as a chunk. I watched these three all together. Which kind of worked, I think, better.
Because that might have been better if I'd have done that. Actually.
Yeah, it kind of played out more as a film because there is very much because that middle episode, I can imagine if you watch that middle episode in isolation, it's a bit, it doesn't work as well. But you've got a 3-act structure there, which works very well. So yeah, no, I kind of
with more Storm, right?
Well, more Storm. She had 3 episodes of her own.
No, I mean at the end, just like because she's so cool and like just frying stuff more.
That's obviously the rule on this show is that everyone gets a go. But if they've had a go,
she had a go. I know, yeah. But I just would have liked that because I just really like her. So more Storm would have been great. But that's the sign of something good, really, when you want more of it.
Yeah,
to be honest. So it's a bit like the Apes thing. I want more of them. So I want more of the X-Men. So it's good. Some people conflate that as it being bad. Oh, I can't believe it ended like that. I want more.
No,
they didn't give me what I want, and it's like no, but that's the thing. It's good to be. It's not really a restrained show, but in some ways it is because it's like we're going to do more. Don't worry.
Yeah. Well, it serves its exact purpose, doesn't it? It's a Saturday morning TV show that is executed very well. That you could quite happily sit and watch 20 episodes.
And here's us 40-year-old. Well, some of us. Men talking about a cartoon.
It's good, man. Dig it.
I'm all for it.
If they expand,
kids aren't interested in this, are they? Kids don't give a shit.
No. Like when we were leading into it, I think I might have even said on here that me and my son, he's 7, so I was like, oh, we'll watch the old show, and he was like, we were right into it. And then I started this, like, because I'm like, fuck, I'm not watching them with the fucking kids. I'll be yapping and like shifting around. So I'll watch it and then we'll watch it. And as soon as I started watching, I was like, oh, he's not watching this. I've just let him in.
Some pretty crazy stuff in it.
Yeah.
Our kids been watching Adventure Time, and you forget that Adventure Time has got some. It's really good, but it's also got some really like
mental.
Okay, that's going to give nightmares. It's good.
I had a moment with
it's good to have nightmares where. You know?
Yeah, well, yeah. Unless you have to deal with the parent that has to fucking deal with it. But I had a moment with Adventure Time years ago. I think it was probably 3 seasons in. I hadn't watched any of it, so I was like, "Oh yeah, I'll put this on," and just like watched it all. I went mental.
Like, it sends you weird, and you start saying stuff like them and going, making pancakes.
Because it's just such a like hyperactive way that they speak.
It's a good cartoon thing. X-Men's like that, isn't it? That new one does have that sort of compacted chunk of just really fast. Done.
It's the one thing I'd change about the X-Men. I think I would go like 75% the pace that they went at. I think there's some of it. It's like
it's still slower than the original 90s one though.
True. I mean, but just like
the original 90s one now,
beats,
it's like
some of the dramatic like beats though. Like I think that stuff can be super important. Like the matter of like a second or two after something happens or before something happens. Like for the example, the adamantium pulling in the second last episode.
Yeah,
I did think they flubbed that because it just happened. No one like people were like, oh no, and then it ended, and then they didn't really. He was just lying on a bed, and it was like. If I didn't know what this was, would I know what this was? Like, do I have any idea how big of a deal this is? Like, that should have gone on for. Yeah,
next season there'll be an episode where he's coming to terms with being his feral self again.
We don't even know which. Do we know which time he ended? He's in the future, isn't he? With Storm, maybe. Or am I crazy?
I can't remember now.
There's just too many things for me to take in. To be
honest, I guess the good thing for viewers, listeners. Now is that now X-Men's finished and we've watched Planet of the Apes, we can stop fucking talking about those every single episode.
Let's just see what happens next episode because there's apes on the mind.
Yeah,
I
we've
talk
got
about
all
apes
the rest of them.
forever. Allegory is my favourite thing. Which
Yeah,
is
yeah,
obviously
yeah.
why I like Star Trek so much.
When it's done,
And
when it's done well.
this is it's because it all stems from Twilight Zone. Because obviously
he's
Rod
gone.
Serling was involved in writing the original movie,
Yeah.
and it had that Twilight Zone vibe to it, which is similar to Star Trek, telling stories about issues that we face as people, but through the prism of something else, i.e., apes,
Dance.
society, or dance. Just anything. But that's the thing that a lot of the new stuff maybe doesn't do so much of. The new Star Trek doesn't do allegory. It's good. I like the Star Trek 2009 movie, but it's not allegorical in any way. It's just a great action movie. I like a little bit more.
True.
Mm.
A little bit more, please. Now,
Give Wes
speaking of
Ball a
little
Star
bit-
Trek movie, yeah.
This is
Well,
the thing
let's
now, because
see.
we're doing that thing that they do in Hollywood where they're like, Jesus, give him everything. And then he's just going to have that, like, remember when Taika did Ragnarok? And then they're like, right, he's doing Akira, he's doing 7 Godzillas, he's doing, none of that's, he made a
Star
movie
Wars,
about Star Wars.
Yeah.
And he's like, shit, I'm worth $100 million now. What the fuck do I have to do any of this? I can make a soccer
I'm
movie
going to do
with
a
like no one in it.
football movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like which is what he should do. We don't need. It doesn't always have to be that, but I think the fact he's already got a few things lined up is pretty exciting. Now, question: do we have any question? Do we have any questions, James? For this?
Let's
Because
go
we're at
through the
52
questions.
mins. So
We're running
Did
out
you
of
see
time,
that
yeah.
Poker Face has been cast in Natasha Lyonne has been cast in the Fantastic Four film?
no,
That's
I
exciting.
should
love
just be
Poker
someone on the
Face.
New York
I
streets.
love it.
The cast for that
She's
film
the
is
best.
incredible.
Have you seen Poker Face, you guys?
Yeah,
I've
brilliant.
watched the first 2 episodes or something. I don't know
God,
why.
It's so good. So good. The way
Incredible.
it pays off at the end. Oh, I love it.
I loved it, and I was just like, I need to watch all of this. But I think I might have watched it on the plane last year, back from you
I
guys or
love it.
something. Yeah,
That's a
Cool.
good self-contained episodic TV
Yeah.
they don't make anymore. I loved it. No, I mean, I also love the big epic stuff like Shogun, because like Shogun's the best TV show this year. I also like Resident Alien. I've been enjoying Resident Alien a lot, and that is crap. But it's crap in a really good way. Have you watched Resident Alien?
no,
I watched
Alan
it's Alan
Tudyk as an
Tudyk,
alien it isn't good. It's like a sci-fi. It is actually a sci-fi channel TV show,
okay.
and that's what it is. But it's just, I love it. It's really crap on purpose. I think it's funny.
That's
Love it.
entertainment.
He's always good.
So, questions.
Very good.
We haven't got a huge amount, so we could do with more. We'll have to give a big.
Yeah, you lazy pricks that are listening to this.
push on this.
More questions.
I
And
will
next-
say this,
may-
right? Because apparently we have more listeners than viewers, right? So if you're over there on the audio, just come on.
Yeah.
Get on your. You can do
Ooh.
it. It's all right. Get on the YouTube and put a comment on it. You'll be okay. Even if you don't
So-
watch it, just do it. Okay.
Or just
Thank
tag
you.
me on Twitter or whatever.
Yeah.
I finally
well,
got access to our Apple stream. I got ownership over our Apple thing.
Who had it before?
It was still under Tom's account.
Ah.
So I kind of had to
He had to kill Tom through his stuff and take all of his passwords. Right, okay.
Yeah,
Interesting.
that's
So
a
you're a
hacking
German teacher now.
Tom, yeah, I do. Yeah, it's a hell of a commute. No, I managed to finally get. So I got hold of that, but it wasn't Tom's fault. It was just me being asked to do it
Totally.
and deal with support and everything along those lines. But I got our analytics right,
Mm.
and I tell you what, boys, Apple Podcast is where it's at.
Why?
So is this
get
where
about-
all these people that tell us they listen to the show are?
Yeah, man.
More than 50, is it?
What?
He's going to be
Do we
like,
get
yeah, 60.
200 individual listens per episode on different
Okay.
people, and we
Yeah.
have so we've got not a huge amount of subscribers, only
I'm
50
sorry
subscribers.
for all of you people that are listening, because
So
We're
screw
shit.
YouTube.
No,
We're doing-
YouTube,
making
YouTube.
ourselves look pretty for YouTube. No, we'll still. I like YouTube. It's easier.
However anyone wants to consume this apparent content that we're
I
producing
mean,
here,
really.
which is just an excuse for us to all jibber jabber about the only Planet of the Apes films for an hour each week.
I think this should just become a Planet of the Apes podcast.
Well, let's focus in, I mean, there's enough fucking films. There's like 11 of them at this point, which is insane.
Yeah.
Right, what's his question, James?
The question.
Yeah, sorry.
Right, yeah. So this from Austin Fitz. This is an old one that we just never got round to asking. What's your favourite feel-good movies?
What constitutes?
Depends what makes you feel good.
I
mean,
know.
The Thing makes me feel good.
Busting makes me feel good.
Flash Gordon, Transformers the movie, old favourites because it's like a warm hug, watching an old favourite that you know inside out.
Is there anything schmaltzy that you like? Like, is there anything that's actually made as a feel-good film that you like?
I like a Steve Martin movie. I'll watch.
I was going to say Father of the Bride or something like that.
Father of the Bride, yeah. Parenthood's really good.
Parenthood.
Grease is probably mine along that kind of schmaltzy thing. Yeah. I do. I've got an incredible soft spot for Grease. Cool.
When I was a kid, look who's talking.
Yeah.
For some reason, I guess everyone had it on video or something. It's not a good movie, but that's like. Then you go to Christmas movies, don't you? Like Home Alone is a really good feel-good movie. So
the kids one for us would be Free Willy because we just had it, and it was just on all the time. That and Kindergarten Cop. Like if I watch Kindergarten Cop now, I just think back to like us sitting around as like 8 to 10-year-olds and just sort of watching it all the time.
We were weirdo kids, right? And I liked weird stuff. I like to be scared. So like stuff like your Dark Crystals and your Labyrinths that are freaky deaky. Never-ending story, and they really gave you the willies, but also that was a nice sort of thing. So that's another feel-good thing for me, is watching a scary movie.
Those films for me, I'm kind of the same as you. Like those films for me, I just remember them being like films you watched when you're all cozy and it's dark and it's kind of all that kind of thing.
Like the Goonies, man.
The
Goonies.
Goonies wasn't one for me. That's the weird thing. Like you have that weird. It's just if it's in your house as a kid, then it's one of yours, and there's like some that you just missed. They just weren't there. And I didn't see the Goonies until.
We did an exhibition, didn't we? Amblin-esque.
Yeah.
And that those kind of movies, the Amblin, Steven Spielberg, George Lucas style of thing is our childhood, isn't it? So
did you see the first little? This is a slight aside, but I think it's promising. The first sort of image of this Star Wars Skeleton Crew show. It's the one that they've said that they're trying to do it in an Amblin-esque fashion.
It's got Jude Law in it.
Yeah,
I believe so, and it's a bunch of kids, and then a little like the alien kid is like this little elephant guy, and it just looks perfectly 80s like puppet thing.
I really like Jude Law now. Yeah, I didn't used to, but I do now.
And it's literally it's literally like side profiles of these 4 kids and this elephant child with a star, kind of blue star background, just like a very Amblin kind of thing. I don't know.
Interesting.
Looks promising. Hopefully it's good. We could use a good Star War.
Yeah. Jude Law had me at Alfie. Can you remember when he did the remake of Alfie? I enjoyed that.
Turn of the noughties. You start getting up, but then like recently as well, like in Captain Marvel. He's excellent in that movie. What a prick.
I think he's kind of aged. I think he's aged into himself. Like I didn't always like him. He was always pretty good, but I think the stuff that he's done in the last 5-10 years is good.
Good question. Another.
I liked it.
Another right. Last one.
Smash your glass on the ground.
Because me and Matt have got to go to the printers today. This one's from Pastradal. He said, great episode, guys. Another fun listen. Thank you very much. New question would be, if you could transplant any character from a movie into a different movie or franchise and make a new story, who would it be? Ghostbusters into Casper. Oh, no, that's already been done.
I couldn't understand the question.
If you could transplant a character from one movie franchise into a different movie franchise, what would it be?
We just put Deadpool in every Marvel movie, right? They just go back and they just make a film where he goes through and just like fucks everything up. I mean, they do that as well. They did that. He went through every X-Men film and shot himself or whatever at the end of Deadpool 2.
Yeah. Just Predator into any film I don't like.
Yeah, Predator into like.
Well, that's what they're doing, right? With Predator, that's the thing now. They're just going to put it. They're going to do dance. They've done Dances with Wolves. Now they're going to do Like
Predator into like Freaky Friday, and the swap is actually the person goes into the Predator's body.
Well, we got. I don't think. Kill me. I think on that note, that's probably a pretty good one to wrap up. We're not going to do much better than that. So I think that'll do us for this week, and we'll hopefully be back next week. All right. Off.
Cheers.
Bye.